Chrysler brought out their first Hemi engines in 1951. They were called the Red Ram, Firedome, and Firepower, depending on brand. In 1963, Chrysler approved a program to build a car that could win in Daytona in 1964. They decided to go with Hemi designs rather than working further with the Wedge, because the Hemi was the cheapest and surest way to win. The Hemi head design was revived in 1964. These were the first engines officially designated Hemi. Just 11,000 Hemi engines were ultimately produced for consumer sale due to their relatively high cost and the sheer size of the engine bay required to fit it in. The 426 Hemi was nicknamed the Elephant engine, a reference to its high power, heavy weight and large physical dimensions. Its deck height and bore spacing made it the biggest engine in racing at the time. When the 426 Hemi was introduced in 1964, it was strictly a racing engine. On February 23 of that year, 4 Hemi-powered Mopars swept the Daytona 500, finishing first, second, third and fourth. It caught the racing world by surprise, and prompted NASCAR to impose stricter production rules on Chrysler. Instead of producing a few blueprinted Hemi motors each production year, they would have to produce several thousand and sell them in street-legal cars. Chrysler was forced to sit out during the 1965 NASCAR season. The 426 Hemi was not allowed to compete in NASCAR's 1965 season due to its unavailability in production vehicles sold to the general public and because of complaints by Ford regarding its power. However, several special production cars were produced and sold with the 426 Hemi. These were the Dodge Dart and Plymouth Fury. Later in 1965 included the Dodge Coronet. Chrysler introduced the Street Hemi in 1966 for its intermediate range of cars and sold the required number of Hemi engines to the public to legitimize its use for NASCAR in 1966. The Street Hemi was similar to the Race Hemi but with lower compression and lower lift camshaft, with iron exhaust manifolds instead of lighter steel long tube headers. The 426 Hemi, in Street Hemi form, ended up being produced for consumer automobiles from 1965 through 1971. The Street Hemi version was rated at 425 horsepower. The 426 Hemi was also used in NHRA and AHRA drag racing. Its large casting allowed the engine to be overboard and stroke to displacements unattainable in the other engines of the day. The engines based on the old Chrysler design predominate top fuel and funny car classes due to plentiful parts, large amount of research and development, as well as decades of experience with the problems of the engine's design. In drag racing today, the engine bears little resemblance to any engine produced by Chrysler. It is usually equipped with a large Roots-type supercharger and short individual exhaust pipes, and fueled with nitromethane. Yet this variant is used in top fuel, funny car, and pro-modified classes. During its 8-year production life, the Street 426 Hemi saw updated camshafts, more duration was added in 1968, and a hydraulic bump stick was used beginning in 1970 but few other changes. Chrysler kept the engine's horsepower and torque ratings, 425 horsepower and 490 foot-pounds of torque. The motor was essentially ruled out of NASCAR in the 1970s, and when emissions laws, production costs, and insurance surcharges ended the street version after 1971. At the 2012 North American International Auto Show in Detroit, Dodge debuted a Mopar customized Dodge Charger Redline that featured a modern 426 Hemi engine rated at 590 horsepower. In 2019, Mopar launched the Elephant, the modern 426 Hemi of your dreams. The Elephant is loosely based on a standard Hellcat engine, but with a bigger bore and stroke to bring displacement up from 6.2 to 7 liters. The Hellcat's iron block was ditched in favor of the all-aluminum block used in the Dodge Challenger drag pack race car, helping save significant weight. They added a supercharger as well as a set of custom-forged pistons and a high-lift cam. The valve train was borrowed from the engine used in the Dodge Challenger Demon. It isn't the original 426 Hemi but a version that will do for now until Dodge brings back the 426 Hemi into production cars once again.